Anyone having ever been pregnant or ever lived with a pregnant woman may have heard about the importance of gently disposing of the family cat, then gathering its remains, wearing a hazmat suit of course, in a tin box and launching it from Cape Canaveral into the nearest black hole. Failing to do so may result in the pregnant woman's geyser-like miscarriage or in a hideously deformed baby, which later would only be fit to act as a bell ringer. And all this on account of toxoplasmosis. Now, let's forget this rubbish. Oh, thank God. I love this cat so much. Let's see the facts. The disease is caused by a single-celled parasite called Toxoplasma gondii... only two. Gondii, which should not be demonized, but let's not feel sorry for it either, for it can very well put two and two together. It's one of the most successful damned parasites in the entire animal kingdom. Since life's successes are up to connections, Toxoplasma is the parasite of most warm-blooded animals. Yours too. Definitive hosts can only be members of the cat family, but intermediate hosts... everything but the bicycle pump.
Oh, f*** it, I get left out of everything.
The list of intermediate host species includes humans and even the otherwise definitive host cat. Let's try to untangle the knot of who infects whom and how. The infected cat will spread the germ with its droppings in the environment, where the intermediate host, that is, almost anything, will take it in, get infected, then get eaten by the cat, and so the process comes to a full circle. Or does it? The hell it does. The infected intermediate host is eaten by another one, then a third one comes along, then a fourth, a fifth, and so on. The infection is spread every time. The offspring of the intermediate hosts can also get infected during pregnancy or from their mother's milk. If it's the cat that consumes the infectious material, it's as if it was an intermediate host itself. It can, of course, infect its kittens, and should it eat up its own self, it will become a definitive host. It may also happen like this, or like this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Since Toxoplasma is spread worldwide, finding something or someone free of infection is almost like a miracle. Nevertheless, hospitals and animal hospitals are not crowded with masses suffering from toxoplasmosis. Why not? Here's the good news. Toxoplasmosis is usually symptomless. The immune system of most individuals has a good laugh at toxoplasma. Those that for one reason or another have a weakened system are vulnerable. The very sick, the old, the young, and those expecting, both animals and people. Let's have a look at the disease in the definitive host, the cat. Infection comes about by devouring an infected intermediate host. Toxoplasma multiplies in the bowel wall, and the infectious material called only two, oocyst, is emptied with the feces, where it priggishly waits for an intermediate host to come by. In the meantime, Toxoplasma will break into the body from the bowels and scatter all over it. The cat's immune system will immediately start kicking butts, and the germ in turn will bring about microscopic sacs called cysts inside the body and go into hiding. Sure, this too is a cyst, just without the double O. There's the joke about the creative parasitologist walking into a bar. Nah, there's no such joke. The encased Toxoplasma marks the final stage of the disease. The animal can be declared healed, it will not empty oocysts anymore. Only a wonder could help the germ. We'll get back to this later. Generally, none of the stages causes any symptoms. This one may lead to mild diarrhea. This one, in scrawny cats, may cause fever, depression, sometimes more serious complaints. Seeing all that, the vet will be able to tell with high precision that the cause of the complaints could be absolutely anything. This condition, will not result in any symptoms unless the cyst is located in such an unfortunate place where it can disturb the working of an organ, say inside the brain. Let's examine the intermediate host as well, using humans as an example. Humans can be infected by taking in oocysts while grazing in the meadow, but rather by eating unwashed vegetables or the cyst-laden raw meat of the infected intermediate host. Like in cats, Toxoplasma will break into the bowel wall and then into the body, but no infectious agent, that is oocysts, will be emptied with the stool. The symptoms are about the same as in the case of cats. By the way, sometimes cats can also be infected by taking in oocysts. Mind you, quite a lot of them would be needed. Those infected will not remain so forever, just till the end of their lives. This state, however, although lacking other advantages, is bulletproof against a new infection. Well then, how can we find out if a person or an animal has toxoplasmosis? Because, as we know, the symptoms aren't really telling, to say the least. Well, first of all, we have to think of the possibility. Some vets will have the word Toxoplasma tattooed on their arms just to be on the safe side. Others will have it written on their spouse's forehead. Either way, if the vet remembers toxoplasmosis, a blood test may be of help. The blood test will reveal if the patient ever came into contact with toxoplasma or not. In the former case, it will also tell whether or not the infection is recent or old, giving a clue about the parasite's potential link to the symptoms. Any medication is only useful during acute toxoplasmosis in the dispersion stage of the germ. Cysts will resist chemical warfare. Not that the cat would need it, but occasionally the treatment of a cat shedding oocysts may help reduce the amount of infectious material excreted. Now, what about pregnant women? Provided the infection happens during pregnancy, Toxoplasma dispersing in the body may reach the fetus as well, causing serious damage. The younger the fetus, the worse it can be. Well, if that's so, shouldn't the cat be kicked the hell out after all? No. Yes! An expecting woman is not vulnerable unless her body encounters Toxoplasma for the first time during pregnancy. If she's had the infection before, there's nothing to worry about. Furthermore, the cat is only a risk during the time it sheds the germ, which lasts about 2 weeks. Repeat, a toxoplasmatic cat in its entire life is only infectious for roughly 2 weeks. Yes, I haven't forgotten. Soon. A pregnant woman has more chance, way more chance, of acquiring toxoplasmosis from unwashed vegetables, fruits, undercooked meat, contact with soil and neglecting to wash hands than from her own cat. What's more, an oocyst needs about 4 days in the open to become infectious. So the risk can further be reduced by frequently cleaning and disinfecting litter boxes and by giving up the hobby of collecting excrement.
It's time to toss these out.
Spare Elvis, I beg you. A cat is a potential risk if it hasn't had contact with Toxoplasma before, because it may become infected at any time and start shedding oocysts. This is only possible, though, if it eats an infected intermediate host raw. The chance of that happening is rather small with an indoor cat, for example. It may, of course, lick up oocysts carried in on your shoe soles, but, as said before, the cat is pretty resistant against them. Sometimes the immune system of a cat may become weakened, for example if affected by feline AIDS virus. The immune system KO'd gives way to other diseases. Sleeping toxoplasma cysts may become activated in such cases, which leads to acute toxoplasmosis and repeated shedding of oocysts. This is a rare exception to the 2-week rule mentioned before. To assess the risk, It's worth having a blood test in advance of the planned pregnancy, or if the planning period fell flat due to an altered state of mind and an awesome New Year's party, then during the early phase of the pregnancy. The screening should be done primarily on the woman, but on the cat as well. If the test shows that the woman has had the infection before, there is no risk involved, even if the cat shits a tanker load of oocysts. There is no danger if the cat is tested positive, as it does not spread the disease anymore, unless its immune system is in a shambles, which is rather difficult not to notice. If both are tested negative, there is a slight chance of some wickedness. But even so, other kinds of Toxoplasmosis mean way more hazard than the cat. What can a pregnant woman exposed to the risk of infection do to lessen it? Washing the vegetables and fruits, cooking or frying the meat for a suitable length of time before eating, putting on gloves for gardening and washing hands regularly will help. Cat litter must not be used for clay sculpturing, best not touch it at all. And that's not to be poked at either, goodness me, do I really have to point that out? To sum up, Toxoplasma is a parasite so common you can even find it where it is not. It has an intricate course of development. Only members of the cat family can be its definitive hosts, but it has more intermediate hosts than I would want to name. Humans are among them. Many are carriers, but since the infection is usually symptomless, treatment is rarely necessary. Pregnant women are vulnerable if they get infected during pregnancy for the first time. The family cat is as much to blame for causing fetal toxoplasmosis as the corrosion inhibitor and the padlock together. The poor thing is not to be clubbed to death with a spade. Please. If you want to make sure, you can have yourself and your cat screened. It's just a few drops of blood drawn. Any medical personnel with hands can do it. I wish you good health and a pleasant delivery. Again, technical verification has been done by Dr. Eva Fock, veterinarian and expert in parasitology. I thank her very much.